All right, guys. Um, I want to talk about Bruce Willis. Now, I don't even know where to begin on this. It's just something that's been on my mind. It's been on my mind for a while. And, there's no secret of the fact that Bruce Willis is unwell. He's having health issues and he's retired from acting. The announcement came some years ago now. I think it's been at least 2 years now, a year and a half, 2 years that announcement came out. And for years he'd been having problems, and there were rumors of him, forgetting lines on sets, and that there was something going on, and nobody really knew what was going on. And he was doing all of these really weird movies that Bruce Willis shouldn't be doing. These were like straight to video type films. And I was watching these movies, and I didn't even watch a lot of those movies. I just saw them, and I thought that, oh, he just doesn't care anymore, and he's just doing them for the hell of it because he can't be bothered. And then obviously we got the news, and he retired from acting. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is actually very simple. It's because Bruce Willis was one of my guys growing up. He was one of my guys. He was, I'm not saying I was the number one. I had a lot of Stallone, Arnie, Bruce Willis, Michael Douglas, you know, all these guys that we grew up with, Kurt Russell, just a bunch of these guys. If you're an 80s guy, you know. But Bruce Willis was one of these guys. Michael J. Fox. And I heard about this illness, man. And let me not lie to you, man. That thing really it affected me because, you see, the thing is, a guy who has that much vitality and has that much life, that was what he was known for. That was his main thing. That was what he brought to the to films he was in, was energy, you know, charisma and energy. So to get a condition that robs you of your cognition and your awareness and all of those sort of things, just, you know. But I'm making the video because I've never forgotten about Bruce Willis, man. Even though a lot of people seem to have forgotten about Bruce Willis, I never forgot about Bruce Willis. He comes to mind from time to time. Like, I'll see particular films, particular things will come on screen. There'll be things that would happen that I'm like, man, this would be good if Bruce Willis was in this, if there was a Bruce Willis type guy. Just these sort of things you think about and you're like, man, and then it hits me what's happened. And I look at the way people have just acted like Bruce Willis never existed. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are just acting like this guy never existed. And it's sad because I look at it from this point of view. This says a lot about what society is and where we are as in the human race and in modern society, about how disposable and how expendable, no pun intended, well, pun intended, people really are, especially when it comes to the movie business. Now, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my Bruce Willis thing. And for guys who have been on Talkback and know about Talkback, the Mount Rushmore guys are Arnie, Christopher Reeve, what do they call it? What's his name? Mark Hamill, the main guys, But Bruce Willis is one of these guys. So I was just a little kid in Nigeria, Lagos. And in Nigeria, we had two channel. Well, we had one main channel, NTA 2 Channel 5. I think that's what it was called. And Channel 7, NTA 7 or Channel 7 or something. And there was a thing called the rotor that you'd have to, it was like a motorized antenna thing where you'd have to turn it to a particular degree and then it would turn the antenna to get a particular station. So we'd have like little markings on the rotor to tell you where particular stations were, and you'd have to turn it to get to those stations. And we used to go and set it to watch particular shows on one channel or particular shows on another channel. And also, TV didn't last forever back in those days. This is the 80s. TV started at a particular time in the afternoon and it ended at midnight. Then there was no television. And once TV is gone, there's no TV. There was no cable, no satellite. All of those stuff didn't exist at that point. And in Nigeria, TV had a window. And I remember that on a particular night every week at 11:30ish or so, something like that, 11:45, 11:30, a show called Moonlighting would come on. And I remember when Moonlighting started and I watched the first few episodes and I was like, the show was about this sort of private eye, like a lawyer type person. I think she was a lawyer or some kind of investigator, or private investigator or something like that. And it was played by Sybil Shepherd. Sybil Shepherd was a star. Okay. This was a woman that was a star from the 70s. So in the 80s was her heyday. Like by that point, she was established because she became a star in the 70s. And then the 80s was like where she was like the main thing, And this was her show. And she had a co-star. So she was Maddie Hayes. I think her name was Maddie Hayes. And her co-star was a guy called David Addison, played by some dude that nobody knew. And I remember watching the show and I was like, within a couple of episodes, I was like, wait a minute, who is this guy? That's what I was thinking. And I was just a little kid. I was only 8 years old. I was 8. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? Guys, this individual was a star from the moment you saw this guy on screen. I'm talking about he was a star from the moment you saw this individual on the screen, he was a star. There are very few people who are like that. There are many stars today that were not stars the second you saw them. I can tell you for a fact, Tom Cruise was not a star the moment you saw him on screen. I can tell you for a fact, Arnie, Stallone, all of these guys were not stars the second you saw them. There are very few people like that. A handful. Guys like Michael J. Fox was a star when you saw him immediately. Wesley Snipes was a star when you saw him. There are very few guys like the first time you saw them, you're like, oh, damn, man, who is this guy? And I was like, I was looking for, what's the name of this man? His name was Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis. That was when I knew who Bruce Willis was. So just like that, I used to stay up. And for those guys who understand what it's like when you're a little kid, to stay up to 11:30 at night is not easy to do. It's not easy to do because you get woken up at like 7 in the morning to go to school and things like that. You know what I'm saying? 6, 7 a.m. You go to school, you're tired by 9. To stay up till 11:30 at night and then have the wherewithal to watch a show till midnight ain't easy. Knowing that there are cockroaches, because anybody was in Nigeria in those days, there's cockroaches, there could be some rats up and down. There was a rat that used to run up and down under the air conditioner opposite next to the television. So we used to put our legs on the chair like this in case a rat would just come. No lie. Lagos, 80s, mid 80s. So I could see Bruce Willis on Moonlighting because this man was a star, a bona fide star. And children, they don't lie. They don't lie. I was a kid. If a kid knows a guy is a star when he's 8 years old, the guy's a star. What do I know about anything? I just knew that there was something about this guy. And little by little, not even little by little, like almost immediately, I forgot about Sybil Shepherd. I was like, no, this is David Addison's show. This is Bruce Willis's show. Yes, she's the main character, allegedly, but this guy is the show. This guy had charisma, comedy, he could act, he was funny, he was cool, He had good timing. He could do action. There was well, no, I didn't know he could do action, but you know what I'm saying. Like he just had everything you want from a movie star, and he wasn't a movie star. He was on television. So like joke now. Fast forward, we're just living, and you know when you're in Nigeria, like we don't know what's going on in Hollywood in Lagos. Like we just hear about it and then it happens. You know, this is pre-internet. There's no internet. There's no none of that stuff. Social media didn't exist. Like this was 30 years before social media. Like we didn't have anything. Like you just knew what you knew from newspapers or what they put on television when you could watch TV. That's all you knew. And like joke, I heard a rumor, and then I found a situation. I not even a rumor. I think I saw the tape that Bruce Willis was in an action movie. Guys, you see, the thing is that because some of you guys who are going to watch this are young, you don't know how crazy that was. You see what I'm saying? And also, we're in an era where people just do anything now. You could get a guy who's selling Fruit Loops who turns into a MMA guy today and starts boxing. YouTubers are boxing now. That's the era we live in. I'm talking about in the days when life was actually normal. Back in those days, for a guy like Bruce Willis, who was in a comedy TV show, to be a lead in an action movie was unfathomable, unprecedented. Unprecedented. Like that's just crazy. You've never seen anything like that before. The movie was Die Hard, John McTiernan. And this was the man who had just done Predator. Predator, which is an all-time classic. It's an all-time classic. That was 1987. So 1988 now, there's another movie coming out with Bruce Willis. I was like, an action movie? Now, you see, the thing is, right? I was already a fan of Bruce Willis by this point. So I was like, I'm going to watch it because it's Bruce Willis. But my hopes were not high because I thought it was going to be a comedy fest, a joke, whatever. That's what I thought. I went and watched this movie. Guys, you know that arguably Die Hard is probably the best action film of all time. It is actually a toss-up between Die Hard, T2, and Predator. Now, the reality of this stuff is that honorable mentions with Rambo 2, First Blood Part 2. But it's actually just a toss-up between those three films. The fact that you can even name Die Hard in the same breath as T2 and Predator says everything you need to know about the quality of Die Hard as a movie. Watch that movie today. If you've not seen it, go and watch Die Hard today and then see what an action film is supposed to be compared to this trash that we're getting in the cinemas. All this nonsense with CGI fest, stupid nonsense. Go and watch Die Hard again. Go and watch it again. Anybody who's been watching Talkback knows about what Die Hard is about. So I went and watched this movie. And guys, a star was born. A star was born, guys. If I thought this man was a star in Moonlighting, I did not understand what Bruce Willis was till I watched Die Hard. I was like, bloody hell, what the hell is going on here? This guy rocked the house in that movie. Carried the movie on his back. On his back. Alan Rickman, who is an official actor, Shakespearean. This man was holding his own against guys. Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, guys. You see, this is the thing about youngsters. You see, there's a lot of young kids who see Bruce Willis as an old guy and they don't understand. You see, that's the thing. They just look at him as a regular man. Like, oh, he's just like he's just like a movie, an old movie. So you guys don't understand what this guy did back in the 80s. Do you know what it means to carry a movie when you've got juggernauts in movies back then? Juggernauts. This was when De Niro was in his heyday. Pacino, Oliver Reed, Laurence Olivier, what they call it, Terence Stamp. You've got Marlon Brando. Guys were out, guys. Clint Eastwood. It was a litany of stars. A litany. I would even name the women like Meryl Streep and all these people who were young. Joan Collins. There was a litany of actors, stars. You've got a guy who comes out and just blows everybody away with this movie, Die Hard, named Bruce Willis from television. So from that point, Bruce Willis becomes an official star. He becomes an official star. Then he does a movie called Blind Dates, which I watched, which was absolutely hilarious, which then just reminded you that this guy can still do comedy. Like, he's still funny, even though he's doing action. And listen, make no mistake, he was hilarious in Die Hard. It was an action film, but he was funny as hell. And you see, the beauty about that was he was able to bring something to that movie that nobody else could do. You see, all these other action stars, the muscle bound guys, the things like whatever, high testosterone, they couldn't do what Bruce Willis did. Stallone tried to do the comedic action films, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Tango and Cash. He never succeeded. He couldn't do what Kurt Russell could do. Kurt Russell could do comedy better than him. Overboard and all that sort of things that Kurt Russell was doing. Big Trouble in Little China. Kurt Russell could do those things. Stallone couldn't, and Kurt Russell is nowhere near what Bruce Willis could do. Bruce Willis is the king Don Dada of action comedy acting. Like, nobody could do what this man could do. Ryan Reynolds has tried. All of these guys are trying. Go and watch Bruce Willis to see the blueprint of how to how to match comedy with action. Go and watch Bruce Willis movies from the 80s. Not when he started messing around because he'd gotten the ego and everything. I'm talking about when he was making his name. When he was making his name. All right? All right. So Die Hard comes out, smash hits. This guy is now official. Blind Date comes out. This guy does what he's not just a big star at this point. Die Hard 2 comes out and Die Harder. And I was like, it was all right. But by that point, he did Hudson Hawk, which I never watched. I watched clips of it. It wasn't that good. But the point is that from that point, he became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood at a time when stars were stars. Not now. I'm talking about when celebrities were celebrities and stars were stars. So he got into a situation when he did that. He opened a restaurant, Planet Hollywood, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, he didn't open it, but he sort of got in a partnership with Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you can watch the videos on YouTube where they're doing that thing. And just when you watch those videos and you see Bruce Willis, it's hard for me to convey how big a deal he was back then. Yes, it's got to his head, but it is going to get to your head. When I really think about it, of course it's going to get to your head. It's pretty hard for it not to get to your head. Then he gets involved with Demi Moore. And this was when Demi Moore was like the number one actress of like young boys. Like, it was like the most beautiful actress in the world, whatever. That was at that point for Demi Moore. And then he marries or gets into a relationship with her, marries her. And so they were in a relationship. I think they were married during Planet Hollywood. I can't remember because I was really young back then. I was like only 12 years old. So I don't really remember. But the point is, he was on top of the world. And movie after movie, he does Die Hard with a Vengeance. Fantastic. Die Hard with a Vengeance is actually one of the best action films I've seen, if not for the last 20 minutes where they threw everything away that they'd built up. Had they not made it not about revenge, because I thought it was about revenge. I don't want to spoil it, but it wasn't what I thought it was when you get to the end of the movie. I thought that messed everything up, and the movie just became generic. But up to that point, that movie was high quality. That movie was high quality. And Bruce Willis was on top form. He was on top form. Then he does Death Becomes Her, where it was a dark comedy. He's excellent in that movie. He's excellent in that movie. Does Last Boy Scout, where he's playing a tough guy, because Bruce Willis technically was never a tough guy. He was like a comedic tough guy who wasn't really a tough guy. That was what made him funny and relatable, because he brought relatability to action. See, usually action stars were people that you couldn't be. That was why we liked it. They were big muscled, strong, larger than life characters. Huge, cannot be beaten, cannot be defeated. You know, Arnie, Stallone, all of these sort of guys. Van Damme, Seagal. But Bruce Willis brought relatability. It was like, no, you can be a man who has weaknesses and can't really fight, isn't that strong and can still win the day. That's unfortunately opened the door for all the nonsense that we've gotten now. But the point is that in that era, we'd never really seen anything like that before. So when he did Last Boy Scout was like, how do I put it? It was like a departure for him, because he was playing more of a classic action star who is tough and can't be beaten. And he didn't really tell any jokes. Like, he just played it straight, essentially. There were some jokes, but the jokes were dry jokes. He wasn't really telling jokes, which was new. And he did it well. Go and watch Last Boy Scout again. That movie is a quality movie, high quality movie. He goes forward, has a bit of a lull, in his career, like things were. And then he gets this ridiculously massive revival with The Sixth Sense in 99. Like, I'm talking a revival unlike any revival you've seen in a long time. Like, Bruce Willis just suddenly came out, and this was like a straight up acting movie. No comedy, no jokes, no nothing. He comes out with that movie, and it is an international smash. And Bruce Willis comes back again in a different guise, like a complete reinvention. Complete reinvention. Then he does Unbreakable, which I consider the greatest superhero film ever made outside of Superman the movie. On a technicality, it's better than Superman the movie, on a technicality. But Superman the movie takes it because it's got magic. You see, you can't beat magic. You know what I'm saying? Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve actually has Christopher Reeve in it, and it's magic. Like, he's magic, it's magic. So that's the reason why it's better than Unbreakable. Other than that, Unbreakable is like the best superhero movie I've ever seen in my life. And Bruce Willis played a big role in that. Playing a very different kind of performance. And I was like, yo, look, this guy at that point, I was like, for you to have come from the 80s and to get into the 90s and then the 2000s and still be pulling out movies that I can consider classics is saying something. He was the best thing about, one of the best things about Expendables, if not the best thing about Expendables. I think his name was Church or something. He was like the best thing in that movie. Stallone messed up Expendables completely. He completely ruined it because he decided to make some kind of comedic, larger than life comic strip type film, when we all thought it was going to be a gritty, realistic, hardcore action film based on the kinds of people he was putting in it. He just took it in the weirdest. And the problem is that Stallone isn't funny. He's not funny. He does intensity. That's what he does, unlike anybody before or after him. There is nobody that does intensity better than Stallone does. So why he thought he could do comedy, I don't know. But then you bring a man like Bruce Willis in, and the guy stole the show in his scenes, completely stole the show. He didn't even really do that much, and he stole the show. And unfortunately, outside of Glass, when he did Glass, which was the sequel to um, Unbreakable, which had a fantastic teaser at the end of Split, which blew me. That's one of the craziest, best experiences I've had in the cinema. Was not the movie Split, but was the ending that was a tie-in to Unbreakable, because Unbreakable is one of my favorite superhero. If it's one of my favorite superhero films of all time, and it's in my top 20 films ever. So to see, not know that it was tied to Split, and then to see that happen was magnificent. To see Bruce Willis in that movie at the end of that movie. Now, these were the last of the films that he did before things went bad and we found out about his illness. And I wanted to go through all of that just to tell you about the fact that I know Bruce Willis because he goes back way back in time for me. And I wish more people made videos like this so that maybe he's not aware anymore. I do not know what stage his condition is in now, whether he would even really be aware if he saw these sort of videos. But if he does, man, you know, we never forgot about Bruce Willis. The real fans, the real guys out there, never forgot about you, man. We never forgot about you. We have not forgotten you. We have not forgotten you. We still appreciate all the joy and amazing and entertainment that you gave us all those decades. Just the amazing levels of entertainment and joy that you gave. And I still remember those nights late when I'm the only one in the house, well, not in the house, but the only one awake, sitting on the chair in Lagos, watching Moonlighting and laughing at David Addison. I still remember that. Whenever I see Bruce Willis, it takes me back to when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, watching Moonlighting. So to think this has happened to him and nobody's talking about him, nobody's giving him his flowers. I know they did that roast, whatever, but those are celebrities. I'm talking about the fans. It's an absolute disgrace to me. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace because what it shows, again, like I said, is just nobody cares about anything anymore. So what's the point of doing anything knowing that you could give 30 years of your life to quality films and entertainment and be one of the biggest stars of all time, really? Certainly one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. And people can forget about you within 12 months. They forgot about him within 1 month, forget 12. He had made the announcement and it did the news cycle for maybe a week or two, and then it was over. Then nobody's thinking about him anymore, except guys like me. And you know what's so funny about it? Guys like me wouldn't usually be seen as the pool of Bruce Willis fans. And I don't even like the word fan, but we're just going to use it so you know what I mean. But really, a guy who supports his material and an appreciator of Bruce Willis. People wouldn't see me as such. But the typical fans who I just want to know where you all are. I just want to know where everybody is. Because these are the times that it really matters. The good times don't matter. You know the quality and integrity of how you feel about people and your relationship with people when things are bad, when things are difficult, and when they can't do anything for you. When they can't do anything for you. See, Bruce Willis can't do anything for us anymore. So now we know where you really stand. He's not giving me no more movies. The Die Hards he was bringing out were rubbish. Die Hard, what was it? Three. Die Hard 1, 2, 3. Die Hard 4 and 5 were. I didn't even watch Die Hard 5. That's how bad it looked. I went and watched Die Hard 4 and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I'm not trying to say this as if, there was classics after classics. I'm honest. I am honest. If a thing is not good, I would say so. Die Hard 4 and 5 were rubbish. But at the end of the day, this guy's given us master. I mean, can I call it a master? Well, Die Hard 1 is a masterpiece, man. That first one. But this guy's given us classic. Unbreakable is a masterpiece, for God's sake. So he's done at least two of them. Shame, guys. Anyway, I just want to say this. Bruce Willis, Bruce, you're appreciated. You're truly appreciated for the incredible body of work, for the joy, the laughter, the entertainment, the charisma, the cool, all the things you did in the movie industry, and these classic films that I'll never forget. I will never forget these movies. I mean, these movies are still playable today, still high quality today. And it's just so bad that in your time of need, and I call this a time of need, the fan base hasn't rallied around the Bruce Willis energy, just to let you know that we're there for you as fans. Now, listen, I put my hand up, and my people said, "Oh, it wasn't nice to fans." I'm like, listen, if this never happened, he might see me on the street and not even say whatever. You know what I'm saying? Ironically, maybe if I walked, he would not even give me the time of day. I don't care about that, because what matters is the things he put on screen gave me a lot of entertainment when I was young, to the point that as an adult grown man now, fully grown man, I've not forgotten what he put on screen. That is all that matters. So to all the talkbackers out there, everybody's on talkback. This is to commemorate the great Bruce Willis for what he did for movies and for fandom. Bruce, we have not forgotten you.